Today I'm sharing with you the number one key to weight management, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor, but I am a certified transformational nutrition coach, and weight management is only part of what I do. My main focus is helping women that have been through um, childhood trauma, narcissistic abuse, heal their chronic symptoms. And part of healing, small part, is that weight management. And, I want you to think of diet as not the diet of cutting calories and deprivation, but a diet of, as in what you put into your body, the nutrition, the fuel that you're giving your body. And that's what gives you energy. That's what helps you live a healthy, fulfilling life. And, those of us that have been through lots of trauma and stress, sometimes we tend to turn to some of those comfort foods, sugar, things like that to help us feel better. And they do help us feel better for a moment in time, but overall, they're really not doing us any favors. And I am just as guilty of turning to food. There have been a couple of times in my life that I have gone through big stress and I've turned to food. And recently, I have to say, is one of those times. I have some extra weight right now that I want to lose. And I don't like focusing on, cutting calories and just, really make myself miserable to lose those extra pounds. What I'd rather do instead is this number one key thing that I was talking about, and that is add more whole fruits and vegetables into your diet. And I like to do that instead of cutting things out, because then I feel in control and I feel like I'm doing something good instead of punishing myself. And you can add in all those things and kind of crowd out the things that are more unhealthy, the processed foods, the fried foods, the sugars. And I started this book because I'm playing around a little bit with intermittent fasting, and I'll talk more about that later. But I'm reading this book called Fast, Feast, Repeat by Jen Stevens. And it was funny because she brought up a story or a book that brought up memories for me from the past when I had tried to lose weight. And she talked about this book called The T Factor Diet. And I had followed this book years ago when I wanted to lose some extra pounds that I had put on in college from all the excess alcohol and junk food. And this diet was the fad at the time because it's a low-fat diet. And that was all the rage back then. And pretty soon, all these fat-free Frankenfoods came out. The fat-free cookies, fat-free bread, whatever. And, if you think about like soda is fat-free, candy is fat-free. So eventually people figured out how they could just, kind of go around the diet to add in some of these foods that are unhealthy. So even though you're following a fat-free diet, you are still consuming all these foods with very low nutrients. So, however, the book, The T Factor Diet, really didn't focus on those Frankenfoods. What it taught was to eat lean meats and proteins and fruits and vegetables. And I figure most of us that follow the standard American diet, we probably get plenty of fat and protein in our diet. So what we're not getting is enough vegetables. And, probably about 12 years ago, when I started my health journey, I started, losing those extra pounds that I had gained during the stressful time. I started adding more fruits and vegetables in my diet, and I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, what I was going to say was, all those things come in like the carb-free diets. There's one that's the low lectin diet and all that stuff, but you can focus on that and you can really stress yourself out by cutting out all those things. But the way I did it, and this is the strategy that works for me, and it works for lots of other people too, lots of clients that I coach, and that is starting small. So I kind of made it a game, because what I would do is, this is what I was going to say, is when I started evaluating my diet, I didn't have vegetables hardly in any of my meals, maybe in the evening meal, but like breakfast was usually a bagel with cream cheese, or lunch might be a sandwich or a fast food burger or something. So I wasn't getting any fruits and vegetables hardly. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna add one fruit or vegetable to every meal. So with breakfast, maybe I'll have a cup of berries. And lunch, I'll add an apple or a salad to my lunch. And then dinner, I usually tried to cook like some kind of protein, like chicken or something. And I would put 2 sides of vegetables with dinner. So now I'm getting like maybe 4 or 5 servings a day, which is pretty good. But you want to shoot for like 7 to 9 servings. That's the goal. So, starting out small, I was able to add at least 1 serving to every meal. And then it kind of became like a game. So I thought, if I eat vegetable soup or I eat a salad, a big salad, I can get lots of servings in my meal. So, I ended up getting at least probably 7 servings a day. And I did really well with that for a long time. I was able to I lost about 22 pounds, and I kept it off for, at least 5 years, maybe longer. And then our home flooded. And so that was stress. It flooded during Hurricane Harvey. And I gained a little bit of weight, not much, but just enough, that I knew that I needed to take some steps to kind of get myself healthy again. And then some other stressful things happened, and the pandemic happened, and it's just, I've slowly gotten away from eating all those fruits and vegetables that I was eating, and I turned more towards the comfort foods, more towards sugar. Those give you that dopamine hit, that happy chemical that makes you feel good in the short term, but then it drops off. So, instead of thinking I shouldn't eat sugar, which crosses my mind a lot, I should think, I'll have this cup of blackberries and then I will have the sugar if I still want it. And usually what happens is after you have those berries that are sweet, or apple is really good. During the summer, I would eat cherries. That really helped curb my sugar cravings. And you don't want that sugary food anymore. Not always, it doesn't always work, but it works a lot. So instead of saying I can't have fried foods, say I'll have this salad before I eat this fried shrimp. And then instead of thinking I no longer eat dessert, think, it's fine to have a little bit of dessert, if I still want it after my meal of steak, cauliflower, and asparagus, or whatever it is, whatever vegetables you eat. So, just try that little small step of adding one fruit or vegetable to every meal, and then see if you can up it a little bit. And eventually what will happen, hopefully it happened for me, it might happen for you, is you start to crowd out those foods that are more unhealthy because you're not so hungry anymore. You've taken away some of that extra hunger. I gotta get a sip of water. My son and daughter-in-law got me this Stanley Cup for Christmas. And I think it's a 30 ounces says, but I could put like 40 ounces in here, and it's making me drink so much more water, which I'm happy about. Okay, so another thing that really helps me is, when you're thinking about diet, is thinking about how our ancestors ate. So if I look back, my grandparents owned a farm that had been in my grandmother's family for generations. And on that farm, they had a big, huge garden. And so when we went to visit, we would help them in the garden. And I remember one summer in particular, corn was in season at that time. And they had a big crop of corn. So my grandmother asked, "Do you like corn?" And I said, "Yes, I like corn." So we ended up having corn for every meal, including breakfast. But we had other vegetables too. And so, they ate from the garden. They hardly had any processed food in their home. And they really didn't have a lot of snacks because we had, a full breakfast, a full lunch, and a full dinner. And breakfast started somewhere around 8 a.m. and then dinner would be somewhere around 5 p.m. And then after that, the kitchen was closed. So you don't go back in for snacks. And, we were outside playing and running around a lot as kids. And sometimes she would let us have a snack in between lunch and dinner, somewhere mid-afternoon. And then otherwise we didn't snack. You weren't going in the kitchen when she was either cooking or cleaning up after a meal. You weren't allowed in there. So that's how they ate all the time. And so intermittent fasting, the way I'm doing it is I'm following a 16-8 schedule. And that means that for 16 hours, I'm fasting. I'm not having any food, or I do have tea, but I don't put sweeteners in it, green tea. And then I eat for an 8-hour window, and I don't eat that whole time. I just have my 3 meals, and I try not to snack. I have been lately. That's probably part of the problem. But I just think, it makes sense to me to do it that way because it takes me back to how my grandparents ate. They didn't eat after dinner. And so, I'm trying to eat an earlier dinner. My youngest daughter gets home from school around 3:30. And so she's starving. So we usually eat dinner somewhere around 4 or 4:30. And my older daughter laughs at me, calls me a grandma, but that's fine because, then I don't eat again until the next morning, somewhere around 8:30. And that just feels really good to me. And there may be some more tricks to intermittent fasting. That's why I'm reading the book by Jen Stevens that I mentioned earlier, the Fast, Feast, Repeat. And, maybe that will help too. And I'm just going to continue adding more vegetables and crowding out the sugar and the processed food. I don't eat gluten, but I do eat gluten-free bagels and bread and stuff like that. So that stuff needs to be crowded out a little. So I also wanted to share with you, I love essential oils because they really help with, uplifting your mood or helping you feel grounded. And I use them for cleaning my home and times when we're feeling under the weather, I will pull out an essential oil that is helpful. So today I wanted to talk about grapefruit essential oil. And I use doTERRA because I love what the owners stand for. And they get their oils third-party tested. I have a lot of confidence that these oils are pure and safe. So anyways, grapefruit essential oil is really good for when you want to manage your weight because it helps to cut some of those cravings for sugar and other sweets. It helps to get your metabolism back on track a little bit. So I'm reading from this book, Essential Emotions. You can find it on Amazon or oillife.com. And there's a section on grapefruit. I'm just gonna read a little short part. It says, positive properties of grapefruit are feeling respectful of your physical needs, body acceptance, nourished, healthy relationship with food. And this oil blends well with patchouli and bergamot and fennel. And then suggested uses are inhaling from the bottle, diffusing it in a diffuser, or you can put it in hand lotion. You can put it in bath salts. I like this lotion because it's unscented and you can add whatever essential oil to it you want and use it on your skin. But one thing to note about grapefruit is it is photosensitive, so don't go out in the sun if you put it on an area that can be exposed to the sun. So thanks so much for joining me today, and if you need essential oils, just shoot me a message. Let me know in the comments what's a trick that you use to help you with weight management. I'd love to hear. Thanks.